It feels like every major sporting competition has at least one fairy tale underdog story, where against all odds an unlikely winner is crowned. Baseball has the surprising run and victory of the New York Mets in the 1969 World Series. Basketball has the Detroit Pistons overcoming the heavily favored Los Angeles Lakers in the 2004 NBA Finals. American football has the New York Giants defeating a then undefeated New England Patriots team to win the 2008 Super Bowl. The list goes on and on. But there is one sporting competition that is mostly immune to this underdog effect. Sure, it's had plenty of fairy tale runs, but at the end of the day, the same crop of teams manage to always win. I'm talking about, of course, the FIFA World Cup. I should also say, football (parentheses soccer) is the only sport I really care about. All the previous examples, I went to my dad and I said, "Hey, Dad, give me some examples." So I'm just gonna assume he's correct. Now, football as a sport is not immune to these underdog triumphs. You have the 5,000 to 1 odds of Leicester City winning the English Premier League in 2016, and Greece's out of nowhere run to win the 2002 European Championships. Not even the sacred Champions League is safe, as St- Sto- Stoia Bucharest
Steaua București.
defeated Barcelona to win the title in 1986. And yet somehow, the World Cup has always seemed to avoid such a situation, almost like it's untouchable, or it has some immense aura that only the greats can achieve. Okay, so I was kinda lying when I say there hasn't been an underdog winner in the World Cup, but hear me out. Keen observers will note the 1950 World Cup where Uruguay defeated Brazil in the Maracanã in a huge upset that shocked the nation. But this is Uruguay's second World Cup title. They won the first edition in 1930, and even though they haven't won the tournament since 1950, they're still a powerhouse in world football, being currently tied with Argentina for having the most Copa America wins at 15 each. What I'm saying is this wasn't some random team like Tajikistan. Sure, they were definitely the underdog in that final, but nonetheless a strong and historically great side. A better example that may have popped into your head was perhaps the 1998 World Cup, where France shocked Brazil, again, to win their first World Cup. Sure, unlike Uruguay, this was a side that hadn't proven themselves in the same way, is what I would say if we weren't talking about France. One of the best leagues in world football, won the UEFA Euros only 14 years before, and a team with both Zinedine Zidane and Thierry Henry. Not even to mention, France went on to win the Euros again 2 years after that, and only 20 years later won the World Cup again with the should be illegal super squad they had in 2018. Yeah, nah, I think France deserves their spot in the football elite. I mean, when you have a competition that's been around for 93 years and only 8 teams from only 2 continents have ever won that title, you can begin to see what I mean. Of course, this is not to say the World Cup doesn't have its fair share of dodginess. In fact, some editions have way more suspicious qualities than most would like to admit. You've got the suspicious dealings behind the scenes by a dictatorial Argentinian government at the 1978 World Cup, or at the aforementioned 1998 World Cup, Ronaldo Rosario had a seizure hours before the match, leading to widespread conspiracy theories. At the 2002 edition, it is all but confirmed that South Korea paid off the referees for their matches against both Italy and Spain to make an out-of-nowhere deep run. This was before South Korea was like an actually great team, like they are now, by the way. Oh, and I haven't even mentioned 1934, where we pretty much know Mussolini rigged it in Italy's favor. At the end of the day, I'm really just talking about a trend here of just how hard it is to break into this elite group of World Cup winning nations. The craziest part is that even once you do break into the group, it can be very hard to win it again. As I said before, Uruguay hasn't won since 1950, and England won it in 1966, but haven't won a single international major trophy since. And don't forget about Brazil, who have been a favorite at nearly every World Cup, and even have won the most World Cups, but haven't won the trophy in 21 years now. It took Spain decades to finally lay their hands on the trophy as a nation with one of the best leagues in the world and both the massively historic teams of Barcelona and Real Madrid. You'd think they'd have won the World Cup sooner, but they've only won it once, and it was only in 2010. It took them revolutionizing football with tiki-taka and one of the nastiest midfield trios in recent memory to finally achieve that trophy. And even once you exit the elite group of seven, there's a short line of nations that honestly deserve to have won at this point, but somehow haven't. The Netherlands have been in 3 World Cup finals and lost all of them, and they've made it to the semifinals 5 times. That comes out to about 1 in 4 World Cups the Netherlands makes it to the semifinals at least, which is an insane statistic for a country that's never won it. Then there's Portugal, who have pushed out incredible players from Eusebio to Cristiano Ronaldo, and even have historic clubs like Benfica, but they've only ever been able to make deep runs in the tournament, and they've never won, and haven't even made a final. Their best finish was third in 1966 and fourth in 2006. There's also the more recent rise of Belgium and their incredible golden generation that has, although now begun to peter out, but in an era with such great players, it's incredible that they didn't win any major trophies in that time. Although in the past few decades they have not been anywhere near as good as they used to, Hungary used to be an absolute force in world football, especially through the 50s. They made it to the 54 final and were favorites to lift the trophy even. But I guess the trophy saw into their future and saw that they'd fall off for the next several decades because Germany won that final, and now Germany is tied with Italy for having the second most World Cup wins. There are only a handful of trophies where there are teams that should have won it at least once, but I can't think of any other trophy that has both that and has seen such a small pool of winners like the World Cup. I mean, just think how many crazy deep runs from unexpected nations there have been. Morocco in 2022, South Korea and Turkey in 2002, Croatia's final appearance in 2018, the list goes on. But they were all shut down by one of the 8 footballing giants. Somehow, someway, it's always happened. Always came back to the elite few. This trophy has an aura, man. It's like it's got a mind of its own. Somehow in the history of sports, this feels like the one competition that seems immune to the shocks of the system. And even more impressively, it's the biggest sporting event in the world. And I guess that just helps contribute, to me at least, to the sentiment that football doesn't really feel like a sport in the same way other sports do. It feels like a part of life. It's the world's game. It's so deeply intertwined in culture and community that it just seems to transcend all other competition. So really, it's incredible that only the most football-mad nations from only the 2 most football-mad continents have ever won it. That or it's all rigged.